Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to do a little video on my custom made stick-it anchor poles, shallow water anchors, whatever you want to call them, that I'm putting on the boat. We'll get into the brackets on the back of the boat a little later, but for now I want to show you guys what I was planning on using for the poles themselves. I know you can buy actual fiberglass rods in different lengths that are actually made for this, but they can be kind of pricey. I mean, if they're somewhere local I could pick up one, it'd probably be a better deal, but shipping on something like that gets kind of expensive too. So I was going to try my own idea about making something out of something I can just get at the hardware store. So what I decided to go with is a piece of 1-inch pipe, 1-inch PVC, and I cut it down to about 8.5 foot long. I figured that would be plenty long for a shallow water anchor. Most of them I see usually are about 8 foot. And when I decided to go up to 1-inch pipe. The original brackets I'm going to show you actually were pre-made for a 3/4, but 3/4 feels pretty flimsy. All I got is this short piece here, so you can't really see exactly how flimsy, but you spread this out over 8 foot, it's like a spaghetti noodle. It's really flimsy, and just going to this 1-inch is quite a bit more rigid, but still not quite rigid enough. I got this other one I'm going to make I haven't worked with yet, but as you can see over the long length of the pole, it's got quite a bit of flex. So I did some brainstorming and I came up with a plan to try to get something inside this PVC to give it a little more rigidity that's not super expensive. And the best thing I came up with was at the dollar store, or I found even at Walmart, you can get these little $2 brooms. I got the first ones at the dollar store, and then I messed up one of those handles doing a little experiment trying to figure out how to work this out, and I ended up seeing you can buy the same ones at Walmart for $1.98. And we aren't going to need it for this broom part, but it's just really for the metal handle to stick inside this pole and make it a little more rigid. So what I did is I took this off. This part really doesn't matter. I just left it on. The little handle here is not quite big enough to fill the gap. I mean, it's a little floppy. So what I decided to do, when I originally came up with this plan, the only piece of 1-inch I had was electrical 1-inch PVC, which I guess the inside diameter is a little different than plumbing pipe. Whether it's the thickness that's the difference or whatever, the inside diameter is a little different, because all I had was this scrap piece and this scrap piece of 3/4 plumbing. And my thought was this 3/4 inch white PVC fits tight, but it fits right inside the 1-inch electrical PVC. So keep that in mind. I haven't really price checked what the difference is, but I bought the white pipe, and when I got home and started fitting everything together, this 3/4 does not fit in there. It's just a little bit too big. So instead of going out and buying a bunch of new stuff, I was like, let's figure out what we can make happen. Because I wanted to put a little piece of PVC on the end of each of these so that it took up the whole diameter of the inside of the pipe. So improvising, I did have to drill out the inside of the 3/4 pipe. I took a Unibit, which I could show you in a minute, and drilled that out. Is just big enough to where this would slide on there. And once I slid it on there, I took my 4.5 inch angle grinder with a flat disc sanding disc, and I just gently sanded this thing down until I got just the right size where this would slide in the 1-inch pipe easily, but still be snug enough it's not going to rattle around in there. I got another one over there by the boat still. The first one I started on, I didn't take enough care into doing that. It started to slide in okay, and I got it jammed in there. Couldn't get it to go anymore. It ended up wadding up this metal pole. It was a mess. So take your time if you're going to do it this way, and make sure you get these the right size. I actually already have one of these inside this pole already, but I wanted to have this out so I could show you guys how to make your own. So I got that one slid in from this end. I'm going to slide this one down through this side. I need a little persuasion to get it all the way down in there, but now she's down in there. And I measured this length so that it was long enough for 2 of these to fit in, and my little T-handle. Right here. I made this little T-handle out of 3/4 inch 3-way T. I stuck out about 2 inches, and once I push this all the way in and glue it, it should close the gap between these 2 metal poles I got in there. And once I glue it, I'm hoping it seals it up really good. I don't want water getting in there because these metal poles will probably rust away being in the salt water. So I want to make sure this seals up really good. And then I'm also going to put another short piece with one of these caps on the other end. This cap, as you can see, is like the perfect diameter of the 1-inch pipe. And that's what I needed because if I went with a 1-inch cap, it's going to stick out bigger. And it's not going to fit through the sleeve in the bracket, which I'm going to show you shortly. So that's what we're going to do. And also I got 6 caps total, 1 for the bottom of each and 1 for the end of each handle, so that once this is all together, hopefully we got no water intrusion. And I can show you already just a little example. I've been wanting to do this myself, but I had to wait for the video. The rigidity of this hole, I mean, it's still got a little bit of a shake to it, but if you put on it and try to put weight forward, it's fairly rigid. I mean, you're going to have some waves pushing around. You want it to have a little give, but not too much. If you compare that to this plain old PVC without nothing in it, if I do the same thing, push it in the ground, I could take this thing and really flex on it really good. So I feel like the 2 handles I put inside here are going to do just the ticket. And another good thing about them, they're light, really lightweight. I'm not going to have some really big, heavy, bulky thing I'm going to have to, carry around on the boat. So I'm going to finish this one put together. I'll do a little time lapse of me buttoning it up, and we'll see how the finished product turns out. I'm going to do a second one just the same way. And then it's getting dark, so I can't do it tonight, but maybe tomorrow we'll get over and look at the brackets on the back of the boat and show you what I got to do with that. They did take a little modification as well, so I'll walk you through how it's all going to play out, and then hopefully this weekend or sometime this next week, I got vacation, I'll be on the boat and I can do an on-water test of them and see how they work out. So thanks for staying tuned. Let's get on to the next part. Alright y'all, welcome back to the video. We got another day. I showed you the first day we built our anchor poles for my shallow water anchor kit for the Pro Skiff, and today I'm going to show you the brackets like I promised. First of all, before we go over the fitment on the boat, I'm going to explain to you, these are Minn Kota trolling motor mounts that clamp on a transom bracket. This is what we're going to be putting on the back of the boat to stick our pins in, and we'll get to that in a minute. But first of all, I told you we decided to go with 1-inch PVC pipe for the extra rigidity. This one I've already done a little work on, and I've taken a step bit or unibit and drilled my holes out to where this 1-inch pipe will fit in. The only issue is, I'll come in a little closer, I need to do a little bit of sanding just to get a little extra clearance because it's rubbing right here at this edge. So if I sand this edge down and round it off just a little more, this is going to slide right in without any kind of an issue. And once I get that done, we'll be able to have that part set up, and then I can go over. We have a couple issues on where the steering linkage is. I had to make a couple notches. We'll go over that in just a second. But let's get this thing ground down first, and then I'll show you how I take the unibit and make this bigger on the other one, because it's still factory. I have not enlarged that yet. I'll show you a close-up of that. See, it actually comes with a little grommet in it as well. And the factory size is about 1 1/8 inch, I think, is what the normal shaft size is, which is kind of like nominal for like a 3/4 inch pipe. That's about how big it is from the factory. And like I said, I took my unibit and just enlarged it a little bit to accommodate this 1 inch pipe. So I think I'm gonna set this up right here on this pole so I can get my grinder to it, smooth it out a little bit, and then we'll go from there. Alright, y'all, this was the one that I hadn't drilled out yet. It was a bone stock one besides making this notch. And as you see, I got that drilled out and sanded down just enough where that 1 inch conduit slides in real easy. So next thing to do is we're going to mount this on the boat, hopefully permanently. I do want to show y'all, bring it up close to the camera. These clamps got these little ears on them. And not all skiffs, if you're doing this on a different boat that's not necessarily a Mako Pro skiff, you may not have as much of an issue because your transom may be a little wider. But at least on the Mako Pro skiff, this transom's pretty narrow, and I wanted to get this bracket as far out as I could so it wouldn't interfere with me using the pole and hitting the cowling. So it comes with these little round beveled like cups to hold to the transom, and I actually trimmed just the edge of that off. It didn't gain me much, but it probably gained me 3/4 of an inch. And something that's tight, every inch counts. And since I cut that, I knew I probably hindered the zinc coating or whatever coating they use, you know, to protect that metal. So I went ahead and coated it with some truck bed liner. I put 2 coats of it on there so that when it gets in the salt water, hopefully it can't attack that metal and it'll last a little longer for me. But I'll show you, this is my port side bracket. And I do have a little bit of interference putting it on here with the steering cable. So I did have to, that's what the factory side looks like. I held it up there and kind of put some marks on it where that was going to interfere. And took my same grinder I used there, but with a cutting wheel, and I cut down, and then just took some pliers and worked it back and forth till that broke off. And then just took a little multi-tool with a sanding deal on there and just sanded it down smooth so I didn't have any burrs or nothing. And that got me the clearance I need. So I'm going to put this on here real quick and show you what it looks like all mounted up. Alright y'all, I got her mounted. As you can see, I kind of had to work it kind of at an angle, get underneath the steering cable, but I got plenty of clearance here. And I tightened the two clamps down. That thing's on there solid. That thing ain't going nowhere. And the reason I also like it is that this is also adjustable. Like if you're using a trolling motor and want to tilt it up, you can get this up out of the way, which I thought would be good for if you were fishing out in the flats or somewhere and you're just on the water. You probably want it straight up and down as possible, but sometimes I thought these would be good to use at the beach too. If you pulled up and beached the boat on the sand and your bow was up kind of high, you could always adjust this angle a little bit to get your anchor point better. But I can't show you with the full stick pole I made because I'm underneath the canopy right now, but I'll show you out on the water putting one in. But as you can see now I got that in, you can imagine this being the full 8-foot stick. When I get to my fishing spot, I can just shove that down in, get it sunk in the sand, my little T-handle, and do the other side, and that's going to keep me stuck down and keep me from spinning around in circles. Because if you just do one, I have a feeling the wind's going to take you around in circles. So I'm going to put this other side on. I'll show you kind of what I had to do for the notches on it, and then we'll leave the video up until we can take this thing out and show you what it's about on the water. Alright y'all, I got this other side sanded down, smoothed out so where the pipe's sliding in there good just like the other one. And I want to show you, this is a little different. On the other side we just had to do one notch for the actual black part of the steering cable comes through, but on this side is actually the ram that hooks the motor itself. And by the time you put this on here with this thing steering back and forth, you actually have to notch out both sides in the same spot. So keep that in mind. I also did notch off the side of this cup as well, like I said, to gain me as much room as I could. But now that I got that done, I'm going to put it on there and we'll pick this video up during the water test.
Good.